What's happening, people? We're back inside the building. Trickstar Radio, just gone 5 minutes past 9. We're inside the building for Breakfast with Kovu as we move into the interview hour. Really excited to get into today's conversation. I've been loving the tunes I've been sent over and just the general vibe of today's guest. Say is in the building. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's great to have you on the line. I've been really looking forward to getting into this conversation. Ever since I heard the tunes that got sent over, I've literally been like, "Wow, this is one that I'm really looking forward to doing." And
brilliant!
Just the general energy of the sort of sound you bring as well. So, just to kind of get a bit of background on yourself in regards to the sort of sound you make. Talk me through the sort of start of your journey musically.
Yeah, so I've been doing music for what feels like an eternity, to be honest. But it's my number one passion. I literally don't know what else I'd be doing if I wasn't doing this, so thank God. I started with classical piano when I was 6, and then I absolutely hated it, but thank God my mum just was like, you need to just carry on. So she used to force me and take me to lessons. And then my love for singing just grew with listening to Whitney, Mariah, all the big voices, Toni Braxton. And because I was playing at the time the piano, I thought, let me get some sheet music and start trying to play and sing my favourite songs. And then it was a wrap for me. It was just I didn't used to go out as a bit of a music geek. And and then just school talent shows. And it grew and it grew. And then when I was 17, I think I met my first management here in London. And obviously I was kind of too young to move, but I was going back and forth, and my parents wanted me to go to uni as well. So I was juggling those two. I was kind of studying in the week and then coming to London and just having a whale of a time on the weekend with music. And it just solidified what I wanted to do. And I was lucky enough to hang around some of the greatest grime UK artists at the time, Chip, Wretch, Scorcher, and I learned a lot from those guys and just being in the studio with them. And then it was just working on my sound and trying to see who I wanted to be as an artist, because sometimes you've got a voice and you know you love music, but you don't necessarily have your own artistry, and that's something you kind of really have to work on, and it is trial and error. So here I am after all these years of doing loads of stuff, touring, lots of tours. We started really small and then built up to bigger tours. I opened for Boyz II Men and Ashanti and Neo, who were some of my biggest inspirations. So that was unreal. And then the more you do, I think your hunger just gets even more for it. So
definitely, man. No, it's an amazing kind of story. The kind of journey coming in from a much more sort of classical angle, I suppose, to musicianship, which a lot of the time now you tend to find the angle people come in via is almost like they get hold of some software and then they start making beats and then they kind of go from there, or they get invited to go studio one time and then it goes from there. But yourself, it's been a very kind of traditional sort of piano based.
It was less technology, but I tried to learn all that early. I remember going to this government funded youth studio in Longsight, because I'm actually from Manchester, and it was just so funny because I was the only girl there every single week just trying to learn I think it was Cubase at the time, and all the guys would just sit and look at me and just think, what the hell is she doing here? And I just kept at it, and then it just meant I could record my own songs and show people what was in my head. I could actually get it down. But it always baffles me now when I'm in a studio and people just get up on the keys and play, and I'm like, oh, you had lessons? And they're like, no, I just taught myself. And I'm like, oh my God, that is insane. My struggle. And then these guys just woke up and just taught themselves. It's pretty mad. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I you know what, I was exactly the same in regards to kind of learning keys. I went to a music college, and the thing I could never get my head around was literally keys and theory. It just would not go in. So then I see people who live in their studios now just suddenly turn up and they're playing guitar in one hand, piano in the other, and I'm just going, how are you doing it?
Mozart. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, it's crazy.
An interesting thing, obviously, you touched on there is kind of going from obviously that scenario of kind of teaching, obviously going in via the classical angle, moving into sort of teaching yourself the tech side of things, and then obviously going into these sort of big sort of stadium rooms. Obviously, how was it opening for Boyz II Men? That's a crazy achievement.
Honestly, to this day, we always say, me and my manager were there's some achievements and experiences that you have as an artist that are just immeasurable, and not necessarily quantifiable. You know, it's not like a chart position. It's not a certain number of streams and stuff, but they're still your greatest moments. And I think that will always be one of them. Like, you know, people, it's not something that people kind of can't understand because it is a massive deal. But yeah, it was insane. Like they basically taught me to sing, and like, I don't know, I think it was like 13, 14 years ago, I was like a little child watching them. And then all that time later, I was opening for them. And for me, like, opening for an artist it's just an honour because you get to sing to their fans. And I think until you've got your own fan base, that's the highest level you can go to, is to sing to your idol's audience. And yeah, so I don't take that lightly. And it was mind blowing, honestly.
It sounds it, man, especially in that sort of huge sort of stadium setting. It's crazy. Yeah. And to hear that kind of journey as well, it's going to be a story that people hear and go, that's just a journey that you stuck with. And it is quite an inspiring one because you've just kind of gone, cool, we just work at it, teach myself things, take the information I know and take it to the next level. And it's a wicked story to kind of hear, especially on this show because it's super early. Get people inspired for the day ahead.
For breakfast, yeah.
Entirely. So what we're going to do, we're going to move forward a little bit now and get into a little bit of the music you've been working on recently and the more recent releases from your selection. So we're going to get into a track called $1 Million. Now this one, when I first heard it definitely blew me away. It caught me straight away. Talk to me about this one and its inception, how it came together, and let's just break the tune down.
Yeah, so this one is I'd say my feel-good record from the EP. It is just about, you know, whatever's in your mind. It's about feeling and knowing your worth and feeling like $1 million and just kind of screaming it from the rooftops. So all about that. It kind of came, actually. It was a funny story. It wasn't supposed to be for me. So I'm a songwriter as well, alongside being an artist. I'd say it's really 50-50. And we were in the studio, me and a producer that I'd worked with a couple of times. I think this was the first. No, you know, this is the first time we ever met, actually. And we were supposed to write a song. I think if I remember, it was for Janae Aiko, but I'm not sure. And so we were just vibing, and I was like, "What do we want to write about today?" And I literally was like, I just want to write I was just feeling good. I want to write a feel-good record. And this song just came from it. And it often happens that you write for another artist and you connect so much to a song that you're like, you know what, I'm keeping this one. And that is exactly what happened. Yeah, so it can't be more real than that. Like, I kind of, stole a song, but I wrote it, so it's all good.
you stole a song from yourself. Yeah. This is great.
Kind of stole it from myself. There you go. Yeah, she's not having it. It's mine. Yeah.
I mean, how was the response to this when it first landed as well?
Oh, it was insane because we had no expectations because we've been working on this for like, I'd say 4 or 5 years, trying to figure out my sound and where I was going as an artist, because I used to write a lot of ballads. I used to, you know, only kind of write behind the piano, and yeah, it's been a journey to get this sound, and I'm very 90s R&B influenced, so I really wanted to get that in there. And the response was insane. It got Record of the Week on One Extra.
Wow.
Thanks to Mr. Jam for that one. So yeah, it was insane. We weren't expecting it at all, and then it kind of put a bit of pressure for the releases after that. I was like, oh my god, okay, we've got
this is the level you've got to stick at now.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, we're going to jump into this one now. I'm super excited to run it for you guys on the show this morning. Just gone 14 minutes past 9. You're locked into Breakfast with Kovu here on the Big Bad Trickstar Radio. It is relaunch week, meaning we're bringing you some of the best guests we can get into the studio and get onto the phone. It's been a very enjoyable start to the week. Say it's in the building. This one goes by the name of $1 Million. So make sure you're keeping it locked. Don't go anywhere. At KXVU, at Trickstar Radio.
This is Breakfast with Kovu, bringing you their morning flavours on Trickstar Radio.
Trickstar Radio.